Sean again.
All righty. And this time I actually have something to read. I will try to do what Michael suggested and read ahead, but I'm not really good at that. But I'll give it a try. Dan was born and raised in California. After his studies, he enlisted in the Army in October of 1968. His military career included a tour in Vietnam as a combat engineer. After his military duties overseas, he successfully progressed in rank as a non-commissioned officer, an officer, and an Army Aviator, completing 20 years of service and leadership. After concluding his extensive military service, Dan's focus turned to entrepreneurship, and he built a successful business. He earned an outstanding reputation in the business community. Additionally, he worked in the corporate sector where he excelled in his unique style of leadership, motivation, and business experience. Dan believes in achieving your best at whatever you do, and he instills this goal in everyone he meets. Dan truly loves being an inspirational speaker. His presentations motivate, influence, and inspire audiences to step up and develop growth in their personal lives, as well as in their professional careers. Dan believes you must love what you do, and this becomes the passion that is your key to achieving personal success. Please give a very warm welcome to Dan Tovar.
Thank you. Before I start, you may be wondering what I'm doing, but you'll understand it once I start. First of all, thank you for this kind remark, Barbara, members of the chapter, yes, and the purple people who's in the corner. You know, I like to start the presentation with a little bit of humor. I'm going to share two things. I was down the other end of the hotel, and someone walked up to me and shared it with somebody else. He goes to me, "Are you a pastor?" Oh, I go, this is my opportunity to mess with somebody. I go, yes. They go, what's your name? My name is Brother Love. Brother Love? What's your church? My church is a church of what's happening now. So they look at me and go, no, I'm not a pastor. I'm just Dan. Here for this me. You have to have fun whatever you do. El Paso. There's this gentleman named Old Juan that lives on the Mexican side of the border. Once a month, he comes over to El Paso to visit his friends. This is his day. Juan's in line with the other Mexican citizens waiting to come across, and the border guard goes to Juan. He asks Juan, what's your business in El Paso? See, friends, Juan has a bottle of water under one arm. He goes, the guard goes, what's that? Juan goes, this? Holy water. Then we see. The guard gets it, puts it down, unscrews it, picks it up, smells it, doesn't smell like holy water, sticks his finger in there, tastes it, he goes, this isn't holy water, this is tequila. Juan goes, thank you God for the miracle. My presentation to you today is titled The Power of Words. This is one of 4 presentations that I do. I also do another one, Pledge of Allegiance. I do another one, I am an American, and the 4th one that I do is called Our Dreams. This presentation, I put it together for a reason. Because words are like seeds. Choose your words carefully. Plant them, and you will rise and rise. But when you speak words, they have to be followed by actions. Because our actions define who we really are, don't they? Sometimes we're afraid to do the right thing out of fear or maybe the negative consequences. In this presentation, I'm going to share 2 stories with you about men who were not afraid to do what they said. They followed with their actions and the impact of what they did. And they did that on the lives of the people they touched. image of love and every emotion you feel as a person can be inspired by the words you speak. Words would help you walk with confidence. And I'm telling you, help you obtain that victory that leads to all others. Let your words speak to who you really are. Don't be afraid to be that person. The great patriot, Thomas Paine, his principal contribution to us, the widely read pamphlet Common Sense, his weapon was his pen. He was able to mobilize the English language with this. Without this pen, the sword of General Washington would have been raised in vain. In 1776, Paine published a crisis to inspire Americans in their struggle for liberty. His words were read to the masses to inspire them. They were never intended as a dictatorship. You know, words are so important. There's these two military pilots. They're on final to land. On board the aircraft, they have the commanding general who's on an inspection tour. They land, taxi towards the base of the tower. The aircraft comes to a stop. The engines are shut down. The general gets off. He is greeted by his party, and they're off. The pilot is sitting in his chair. He looks out the cockpit window and notices, over to his left, a young father with his little boy. His little boy is jumping up and down and telling his father, "Dad, Dad, look, look, that's the kind of airplane that I want to fly when I grow up." The co-pilot gets out and starts to make an inspection of the aircraft. The pilot remains, gets the aircraft logbook, writes in it, flight went without incident, closes it, puts it away, and then he gets out. Moments later, he gets a tap on his shoulder, looks over, it's the father with his little boy. The father tells the pilot, "Sir, is there any way my son can go inside that aircraft and look around?" The pilot looks at the little boy who's holding his father's hand. He has a smile for grin and grins. The pilot says to the little boy, "So, you want to go into my aircraft?" The little boy goes, "Yes." "Son, why?" The little boy says, "Because when I grow up, I want to be a pilot like you." The pilot says to him, "Tell you what, son, come with me. I'll take you on a tour of this aircraft." They walk around the aircraft. That little boy is so happy. He has 1,000 questions. They go inside and work their way up to the cockpit. They get into the cockpit. And the little boy says, "What's that?" The pilot says, "That's the instrument panel." The little boy says, "Look at all those gauges and buttons." Then the little boy says, "Who sits there?" "That's where I sit." "Who sits there?" "The co-pilot." Wow. The little boy says, "Can I sit in your seat?" The pilot says, "Sure." Helps him in there. The little boy grabs the controls of the aircraft. He's having so much fun. The pilot puts his headsets on him. Then the pilot turns and looks at his father, who is weeping. The pilot says to the father, "Why are you crying, sir?" "Because you see, you're making my son so happy. My son is ill. He will never grow to be a man." The pilot looks at his father for a moment, then goes to the little boy, takes his head off and goes, "Son, if you had one wish, what would that be?" The little boy looks at the pilot and says, "To fly in an airplane like this and become a pilot like you." The pilot hesitates just for a moment and says to the little boy, "Guess what, son? This is your lucky day. If it's okay with your father, I'm going to take you flying." The little boy turns to his father and says to him, "Daddy, Daddy, can I go? Please, can I go?" His father says yes. But the pilot says to the father, "But you cannot go. You have to stay here. We'll be gone for an hour." The little boy is so happy. The pilot tells the crew chief to bring up another seat. They put it between the co-pilot and the pilot. They put the little boy in the seat. He is strapped in. A headset is put on him so he can hear all the chatter. Moments later, They start that aircraft. That aircraft taxis towards the active runway. They get on the active runway, and the pilot says to my little boy, who is sitting right here, "Son, give me your hand." The little boy gives him his hand. He puts them on the throttles. The pilot has his hands over the little boy's hands. Moments later, over the radio, they're clear to take off. The pilot advances the throttles forward. The engines come to a roar. Moments later, the co-pilot releases the brakes. They're rolling. The co-pilot starts to call up the airspeed. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, as the nose pitches up. They climb and climb into the heavens. This is an angel. They level out, and that little boy tells the pilot on the intercom, "Sir, can you make this aircraft turn?" The pilot tells him, "I sure can, but son, you're the pilot in command. You tell us what you want us to do. We'll do it." The little boy goes, turn that aircraft to the left. They bank that plane to the left, turn it to the left. The little boy says, "Turn it to the right." They bank it to the right and turn it to the left. The little boy says, "Can you make it climb?" They make it climb. This goes on for over an hour. An hour later, there they are, returning back to the airport where they took off. They land and taxi towards the base of the tower. The aircraft is shut down. That little boy is so happy. The pilot turns to the little boy and says to him, "Son, today you are a pilot. Don't let anyone tell you different. But in order for you to be a real pilot, you need to have something that all real pilots have." The little boy says to the pilot, "What is that?" "Aviator wings. These are the wings of a real pilot." The pilot takes his wings off his chest and pins them on that little boy. That little boy is so happy, it starts to cry. They get out of the aircraft, and there to his left is his father. He runs to his father with open arms and says to him, "Daddy, Daddy, I'm a pilot. I'm a real pilot. Look, Dad, these are wings of a real pilot. I'm a pilot." His father says, "Yes, you are, son." They say their goodbyes to the new friends. 3 months would go by, and again, those two pilots were returning to the airport where they met that father, his young son. They land and taxi to the base of the tower. The pilot looks up at the cockpit window and notices the little boy's father without his son. They get out and walk towards that father. That father says, "Over here." Starts to tell the pilots about his son. And what he says to them is, "Gentlemen, my son, you made him so happy the day that you took him flying and told him that he was a real pilot. Those wings that you gave him, he told everybody the story of the day that he became a real aviator. He slept with them, he bathed with them, he could not take them off." The pilots are grinning and saying to the father, "But where is your son?" The father responds and says, "My son died a month ago. I've been coming here for the last 30 days hoping to see you, to tell you thank you for what you two have done." They say their goodbyes, and another month would go by. They call it for seeing the flight operations. The chief of staff wants to see those two officers immediately. And I'm told to report to him. They report to the colonel's office. They know not why. The colonel says to them, "Gentlemen, how are you doing?" They say, "Fine." "Gentlemen, the reason you are here is the general needs to talk to you." They still do not know why. Well, you see, friends, that little boy's father wrote a letter to the commanding general that told him about what these two men had done, not knowing that these two pilots would get in trouble for having anyone on an aircraft without authorization. They walk in the general's office. The general says to both these two men, "Gentlemen, sit down. Would you like a cup of coffee?" Then he gets the letter out, opens it up, and says to them, "I I need to share something with you. He starts to read the letter verbatim. The pilot in command says to himself, in silence while the letter is being written, if anyone's going to get in trouble, it's going to be me. I made that decision. It is my responsibility. The letter is read and read and read. And at the end, the general says to these two men, have a great day, and nothing else was ever said. For you see, never be afraid to do the right thing, regardless of the negative consequences. Sometimes we let fear dominate our thoughts. We let fear become more exaggerated than it really is. Having these four values, being a person who is morally and ethically sound and approaching the faith, to be surprised what you can do when you become a doer, an entrepreneur yourself. There was this couple named Rudy and Anthony. The year is 1942, the time to live the American dream. While the rest of the world is engulfed in war, the United States has isolated itself. It's time for the big dance. Life is about to change because the winds of war are coming. It is Saturday night, and Rudy has put on his best suit. He doesn't know it, but he's on his way to meet his destiny. As he arrives, the band is playing, and everyone is enjoying themselves. Rudy is looking dapper. Standing by the dance floor, on the edge, and watching everybody having a good time, he hears a voice that says, Rudy, look at me. I've been waiting for you my entire life. There on the other side of the dance floor is a love of his life who is staring right at him. He starts to walk towards his destiny, puts his hands out to her, she to him. In a soft voice he says, Hi, I am Rudy. She responds, I am Kathy. They start to dance, their eyes alight. This is a real precious moment. The person that you have fallen in love with, looking at you to tell you that she is in love. They dance and dance and not away. They are the perfect couple, so much love. But the winds of war have arrived. All the young men are leaving. Rudy too. Rudy tells Kathy, when he gets his first leave, that they will be immediately married. Kathy is so happy. She plans her wedding with great anticipation. Picks out the perfect wedding dress. The days become weeks, the weeks become months, the months turn into years. Kathy waits, knowing that her love will someday return. The war is finally over. Rudy is coming home. Kathy is so happy. She receives a phone call from Rudy. He's in New York, getting ready to board a train for a long ride home to Los Angeles. This time when he sees her, he will embrace her with her love and never let her go. But Kathy is not there. So Rudy boards a cab and is off to her house. As the cab arrives and comes to a stop, Rudy says with great joy, I am home. But Kathy is nowhere to be seen. With bags in hand, he walks up to the porch and is greeted by Kathy's father. Her father embraces Rudy. Rudy says to him, where is Kathy? A father with tears in his eyes responds, son, my daughter passed away. She's in her bedroom. She passed away an hour ago. Rudy drops his bags and rushes into her room where her mother and the rest of the family are grieving the loss. On her bed she lies, waiting for her Rudy. Rudy begins to cry and says, why? Why? It should have been me and not her. Moments later, the family priest walks in. Rudy continues to cry and remembers what he told his bride-to-be. Kathy, I love you. I always will. I told you we would be married immediately upon my return. There, next to Kathy's bed, is her wedding dress, the dress that she had taken out in order to marry her love. Rudy looks up at the priest and tells the priest to marry them. The priest agrees. The family man dresses Kathy in her wedding dress. She is so beautiful as she lies on her bed, waiting for Prince Charming to give her a kiss that will awaken her from her dreams. The vows are read. Kathy is holding Rudy's hand like she was alive. Rudy says to her, Kathy, you are my soulmate. You are my true love. You are my dreams come true from now until the end of the time. He kisses Kathy on her forehead and on her lips as the tears roll down his cheeks. Friends, feel joy and happiness for what the men in these stories were able to do because they acted on it. They were not afraid because power, words have the power to heal broken hearts and make your dreams come true. The act true endless. Words will always be the voices of our hearts. The two stories that I just shared with you are true stories. Before you can ask me questions. The first story, I was one of those pilots. The second story that I shared with you was a story that my mother shared with me when she was dying last December. I went there to give her strength, and she gave me strength. She shared this story because Rudy was a friend of hers. This man who married Kathy never married again. He died with one bride. Are there any questions? You guys sad? I can't believe he's sad. Share something with you. Yes?
How did she die? Or what? The bride to be, how did she die?
Answer. I'll share something with you. My name, everybody knows me as Dan. That's not my real name. My real name is Rogelio. Rogelio is Hispanic and means Roger in English.
I knew that. I was like, well, wait a minute, isn't that?
So, you might be saying to yourself, where in the heck does he get Dan from Rogelio? When I was a little boy, I was raised in San Bruno in the Bay Area. We moved into our new house. There's a knock at the door. My mom answers it. A bunch of little boys from the neighborhood. They asked my mother if she had any sons. My mother had 5 of us. I was standing behind my mother, and I look up behind. They want to know if I can come out and play. I said, yeah. I go outside with them. We're standing on the sidewalk. They go to me, what's your name? Rogelio. What? Rogelio. Now, I knew what was going through their mind. How in the heck do you pronounce that? In their own way, they tried to do their best by pronouncing that name. It came out like this. Rodel. Out of frustration, my little friend said to me, you know what? Your name is Dan. And it stuck. So, you can call me Rogelio, you can call me Roger, you can call me Dan. I'll respond to any of your names.
Yeah, but on Facebook you're Dan Tovar.
Yes! Any questions? Any other questions? All right. I am Dan Tovar.